Yes, so as I was saying, once we moved here to Houston and trying to find our way, forge our way as a new couple, you know, um, it was fun, but at the same time stressful. Like I said, he had these legal issues from the baby mama, and that caused him to be depressed because he wasn't able to see his kid like he wanted to. And he really is a good man with a good heart. Don't make the best decisions like we all don't or haven't, but his heart is what I saw when I fell in love with. And I have never, even to today, with all the shit he does and did to piss me off, and I can't never say I've met a man with his heart, with his work ethic, and with his belief in God. Speaking of that, like I always had a relationship with God, but when I would see him pray over his food, um, like little stuff like that is what kept me in love with him and sparked my relationship with God to get strong. Um, which is what it's like I knew that it's something great and amazing in him, but with me being so young, and he really was like well, at this time, my first serious relationship, because I never lived with a boy before, a man. So he was the first man I ever lived with. Yeah, me and Devin, we like first puppy love, high school love, and I would sleep at his house every now and then. But his mama wasn't playing that, and he couldn't afford his own place, so I didn't live there. I had my own place to go back to. So Spain, my husband, who's my husband now, he was like the first everything, first real deal relationship. Like, oh, we got real problems we're going through. We need to really come together and figure it out. He was a real live-in relationship. So it's like as beautiful as it was, I guess it was just getting too real for me too fast. And he wasn't working at the time because of his legal situations. He didn't know he wasn't really applying himself, so he didn't know where he was applying, where he could apply. So that was getting on my nerves too, and I just had enough. So once I ended up getting me a better job and making better money, I ended up getting my own place, and I let him know that I have getting a place, but I don't want you to move with me. I'm not gonna have the responsibilities of this place and you and your child support. No, I'm not gonna do it. I was only 22, probably 23 at the time. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I ain't got no babies, so why should I? You know, as selfish as it sounds, it felt like what was right. You know, I'm like, I didn't come out here for all that. I came out here to be with you. If you gonna be the man that you're supposed to be, but I'm out here, you tripping, so I'm dipping. That's how I felt. And what really was a turning point of that, um, what really was a turning point for that was, you know, he was getting ready to have to turn himself in. He thought he was gonna have to do his time in Louisiana, and God worked it out to where he didn't. Um, so he was on his way back, and he called me, and he's like, "I know you don't want to deal with me." Because I was really done. I didn't want to be in a relationship with him at that point, and I didn't want to be his sugar mama or whatever, live in support. I didn't want to do that, not at that age. So, he called me and he was like, "Look, I know that I'm tripping and this really ain't like me. And I know you don't know me like that to believe me, but you just got to know, I'm pretty sure you find a lot of men who can, or another man who can love you and provide for you properly. Like, I really love you. I don't know if anyone is or will. And if they do, they ain't gonna love you as much as I do. So I believe that. And I've been with him ever since. I've been with him ever since. Um, we've been making it work, not only making it work, but making a real life, making it beautiful. He's finally overcame his legal issues. Right now, I went from having a stepchild and zero kids to now I have a stepchild and three kids. So yeah, shortly after us getting back together, uh, the following year, well, at the end of the year, 6 months later, I found out I was pregnant. I didn't know it, wasn't ready for it. Took 3, 4 pregnancies, and it took me up until I went to the doctor and heard the heartbeat. I was like, oh shit, this is real. About to be a mama. So when I realized I was really about to be a mama, like I already was kind of ambitious, not kind of, I was already ambitious and determined to be something professional, but it's like it lit a spark in not while I was pregnant. While I was pregnant, I was still, trying to figure shit out. But once my son, my eldest, Spain, that's him up there, that's him, the little boy right there with the little short hair, the white hair, that's Spain. And then the other little boy next to him, that's Roland. And that little mama, that's me. That's her on the couch sleeping. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing or what was going on, but I knew how to be a nurturer 'cause of how I was with my brothers. Um, 'cause how I was with my brothers and my cousins and stuff like that. So I felt like I fell into the motherly role pretty easy. Um, it's just really different when your shit ain't together, basically. It's really different when your shit ain't together. So we went from dealing with his legal issues and me trying to have a stable career to all of a sudden things were starting to get better. When my eldest son, after when he's making one, I was like, you know what? Because at the time I was going back and forth from I had worked at a collection agency for a little minute, got fired on my day off like Craig on Friday. Totally different story. We ain't about to get into that. Got fired on my day off, like Craig. So I was going back and forth to Service Associates, the first company that I was able to have employment with here in Houston. Went back and forth with them for a little bit, and then started working at I think Burlington's or something. No, I started working. My husband at the time, he was working as a bar back and bouncer at the local little bar around here. So he was making money, making decent money every day, for our age and for what we had going on. While he was still trying to put everything behind him. To get a new standing on life with everything that was going on. Um, sorry, I lost thought. But yeah, so I was tired of working at the little job. And then I was like, I want to do something professionally, something that I want to have, because I know, like, I got the kid here, and I know eventually I want to have more kids, but I want to do something that I like doing. You know what I'm saying? That I enjoy going to work to every day instead of these, you know, little 9 to 5 jobs that ain't doing it, you know, and that have the ability to just let you go whenever. I was like, I want an actual career. So then I started going to culinary school, the Art Institute of Houston. Shout out, not in existence anymore, unfortunately. But I was going to the Art Institute and being a mama and being a wifey because we weren't engaged or anything yet. We just was, a family. We were both working and providing for our sons. At this time, like I said, my stepson was in Louisiana. So we would see him, but not as frequently. And we had our son that we had together. So we were doing the best that a young couple could do. Continue to live life, enjoy, make memories and stuff. And so we was doing pretty well. Probably wasn't where we thought and wanted it to be at the time, but we felt like we were still young, still growing, and we was enjoying life and enjoying each other. And after that, he asked me to be his wife 2 years later on Valentine's Day. Oh yeah, so I couldn't finish culinary school, but I did, and I was so proud of myself, y'all. That I'm just building up everything. That was one of the most moments of my life where I felt accomplished. I'm not lying, or becoming accomplished, because I was doing very well in culinary school. It was something that I enjoyed learning and something I was showing, proof that I was doing well learning it. I'm honestly an honor roll student. I had before I had to drop out, unfortunately, I had a 3.5 GPA. I was on the dean's list. I was doing very, very well. I was close with all my professors and as well as with my classmates because they knew that I was a young mother, but they saw my ambition, and so they was very helpful in any way that I could. They knew that I was young, has a young mom, but we only had one vehicle, and I lived all the way on the other side of town. So whenever I could, get a ride with one of my classmates, they would help me out. Or if not a ride, you know, if we were in between classes and I couldn't go all the way home or didn't have any money for lunch, we would get together and we would all go somewhere for lunch. Or, it was really cool. And I had to end up stopping because, like I said, we actually lost our vehicle. It got totaled. Um, the rodeo that we had for a while. And so we had no vehicle for a long time. We had to take our son. My husband had to get up early in the morning and walk our son to preschool for the longest time. And when I get back from culinary school, pick him up. I'd go pick him up. That was literally our routine. I'd have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be there. 'Cause I had an early in the morning class. Early morning class on say Monday through Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, it was just, an afternoon class. But on those days, I had to get up early in the morning to catch a bus that was almost like 30 minutes away. Well, 30 minutes to the school. Well, I had to take two buses back then. Yeah. To get all the way to the school. And it was really hard. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and say I just did it because nah, it was hard. Having to do it in the rain and the cold and to stay consistent with but what motivated me was my family and that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and I'm going to have my culinary degree and I can really be a professional. That was what motivated me. And I appreciated all the people who recognized it along the way when we were struggling and didn't really have much money. They helped us out. I appreciate everything from my mother-in-law to my mother-in-law, R.I.P. Nana, to my grandfather-in-law, R.I.P. Papa, to my father-in-law, to my mom, to strangers. They saw us being a young couple and family and how we weren't asking for handouts, but we were really trying with our own hands to make it possible for our family. So I love and appreciate all the support that they did showed us during that time. But even with all of that, I'm only human. I was 26, young mom. And unfortunately, one semester away from graduating with my associate's degree, I had to drop out. I had to drop out because at that time, yeah, you know what, my husband's legal situation was not completely done. Uh, he really was going to have to do some time. So that's what it was. We were preparing our family, preparing our hearts, our minds, and speaking with my mother-in-law and my grandmother-in-law on how we was either going to have to stay with one of them or they'd be of help since my husband was gonna be gone, it was just gonna be me and our baby. We were really preparing ourselves for that. And so I started working while going to school, while preparing for this. And blessedly, I started working at the JW Marriott downtown. They literally just opened there. I started working, I'm going to say December uh, 15, yeah, December 15 or December 14, something like that. No, December 14, yeah. And they had just opened their doors for business in September. So everything was fresh and new. I was blessed to be able to work with the new crew and everything. And so basically, let me go back a little bit. Because I had to drop out of school and make sure that my family was provided for, with my husband getting ready to have to go do some time, um, I just really focused on looking at JD Marriott and going home to my family, going home to my son, going home to make sure that my husband was in a good space emotionally and mentally before he has to go do that. But meanwhile, as a young woman, I'm scared. I have anxiety because of this. This is all new. Oh my God, I got this baby, it's a lot going on. But through God's hands, His grace, His mercy, we stayed focused. And blessedly, He didn't have to do any time. We was able to finish all of that and pay off the lawyers. Went to court. He didn't have to sit inside of the jail cell once, thank God. So that was finally over and done with, or so we thought, over and done with. And like I said, yeah, not knowing what the fate of that was going to be, I had to stop going to culinary school, pursuing my degree, so that way I could focus and make sure that my child was provided for, that our family that we were building, our unit, our security was strong. So I didn't get my degree, which still bothers me to today because I was so close and doing so well, and I don't have a degree, But I focused on Marriott, and I became very focused on becoming a professional chef. Um, I was like, well, I'm not working at Burger King. I said nothing wrong with that, and I'm not working at no little fast food. I'm actually a cook or a chef at in an open kitchen where we can see our diners and guests. They can see us walking by the window, and vice versa. So I was like, it's a real cool experience. It was in the middle of the city. It's a lot of other young, real experienced chefs that I worked with. So I really got immersed in that, and it really made up for me not completing my culinary degree. I was able to still come home and be the loving mom and wifey, well, fiance, and at the same time be professional. Like when I would put on my chef coat, my chef pants, I felt like a superhero. I felt like I'm making a difference. I'm changing the world. And I was like head down, tunnel vision, and that was my world for like almost 5 years. Family, and working at the Marriott. And through that, God was able to bless us. We was able to move into a brand new townhome, community. Yeah, it's ghetto as hell now. We moved out way before then. But it's ghetto as hell now, but we were blessed to be one of the first families there. Like the townhouse we had, brand new, no one ever lived in it, beautiful upstairs and downstairs. My mom came and visited, and she was proud of me the way that I had it looking like a home, clean, smell good, as orderly and clean as it can be with me working and having a young child, but it wasn't what we have seen previously in other women in our lives. Let me just say that. So, saw me and my husband really having a loving relationship, and he doing his best, working whatever little jobs he was working, me working, and we just really trying to make it. And it felt good that to make my mama proud. So I felt really good at that point in my life. And then okay, and then things continue started to grow because like I said, my husband legal issues were really behind us. So he wasn't able to work odd jobs no more. He was actually able to work the good jobs that we've been praying and dreaming about, that we could both have good jobs and keep it going and stuff like that. And really expand our family's territory, enlarge our family territory. So it was really exciting. I ended up getting pregnant again. So excited. And that's when COVID hit. Yeah. And when COVID hit, things really became not real, but trill. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was out of work for a little minute because all of the businesses were shut down and closed down, especially restaurants. And then honestly, by that time though, I was starting to get burnt out with the restaurants. Like and I hate saying that because I love food. I'm a big greedy, but I'm a foodie. Me and my husband literally go different places just to, if we hear that tried it, but we also like creating our own food. We watch food videos. We do whatever recipe we see. We literally go and emulate that, and it's bomb. Lady's home cooking. That's something else that y'all can be tuned into. Just watch. Um, but yeah, we really enjoy food, and I really enjoy creating it. Like, it's a whole science behind it. I love taking a raw object, and by tweaking this, adding this, doing that, it becomes a whole different variation of something. And not only doing that, but making it into a beautiful art and how you put it on your plate and people looking at it with their eyes, getting excited about it, and then them actually tasting it and being like, "Oh my God, that was like I love all that. I live for all that. That excites me to take something with my own hand, create something beautiful with it, and for people to really appreciate it for what it is, and it also nourished them, make them stronger. I love doing stuff like that. But I got burnt out. I did, because like I said, by this time my eldest was like, I want to say, getting into first grade, and I feel like honestly the first 3 to 4 years of his life, or 3 to 5 years, um, well, yeah, from the time he was 1 up until probably like 4 or 5, I was there and active, and I remember things and stuff like that, but I was so focused on working, on school. And then when I was home, I would give him